6:30, ERB.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Sue's ready. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so let's start just doing roll call. Patrick Bradley.
John McCabe.
Linda Gray.
Matt Stewart.
Emily Myers. Lisa Close. Sue Pittiger.
Barry Rotman.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, first item is to approve the agenda. Did everybody have a chance to look at today's agenda? Any proposed edits, additions?
No.
Hearing none, can I have a motion?
Move.
Thank you, Sue.
Approve.
Thank you, Don. Second, all those in favor? Unanimous? Okay. Now let's move on to public comments, item number 2 on the agenda. Any members of the public here like to address DRB
Maybe we should clarify for matters not on the agenda.
outside of the public hearings that are scheduled? Yep. Okay, great. Let's move right along then to the first hearing for tonight. We have application number 54DE25, development envelope review. Applicants, landowners, Greg Hines and Amelie Hines.
Great. Greg, Jeff, you guys want to come up? I have some large format maps.
Oh, great.
Great for you guys. Also, I'm assuming everybody has the application materials and that piece as well. Okay, I'll leave those to you. I think we're good.
Okay, well, we just had a chance to visit the property for a site visit. Before we take any testimony or look at any of these exhibits, let's get a motion to put the can I get a motion to put the exhibits into the record? Thank you, Sue. Second. Thanks, Don. All those in favor? Okay, so we're gonna move the documents into the record. And then would all of you just kind of raise your hand and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, excellent. All right, you want to just maybe give us an introduction of what you're proposing to do in the property?
Yeah, so for the record, my name is Greg Hines, shared ownership of the property with my wife, Emily Hines. We are coming to the DRB this evening to propose development of a development envelope. As you can see on the plat in the northwest corner of the property for a single family home. And we have two gentlemen that are with us. This is Dave Ulrich, he's from Sanborn. I'm sorry, Pat Wick. And on the side I have Sean Kelly, who is from Sanborn Head, who have been helping consult on the property with soils and the other parts that are needed for your.
Great. Okay, like I mentioned, we had a site visit earlier today, so we actually got, some of us at least, got to actually physically walk the property. Now, are we being asked for any waivers in this case, or is this just a standard?
This is a standard development
Down the-
envelope.
Down the fairway.
The reason it's in front of the board is that it contains, significant natural resource constraints,
Yep.
namely steep slopes.
Okay, turning to members of the board, we have extensive geo boarding and surveys here. Any questions for the folks?
Yeah.
I just want to, I think I'll address this to Stephen. So the question that I have is, for sure, the property has extremely steep slope, but does the building envelope have? Okay.
To answer your question, while there is which I think you all saw, those of you who walked down, there is a seam of steep slopes within the development envelope, but it is predominantly 15 degrees or 15% or less slope within the development envelope.
Okay,
So it doesn't, the development envelope doesn't push into, any prohibition on steep slopes.
okay, thank you.
Forgive me for asking, I'm a little newer to the board. Are you guys gonna do a presentation about what's here? Cool. Then I don't.
Appropriate time.
So some sort.
Let's
some
do
sort of
it, Jeff. Yeah, that'd be helpful. Jeff's always excellent at this.
So, the plat, I think everybody's seen it. Boundary plat with, you all have that in front of you, I think, with the development envelope. We also have an existing conditions plan. So this plan goes back, Sean, I don't remember when we first worked on this, but it's 2 years ago.
22, I think we first saw it then.
And I want to introduce Sean as the geotechnical expert with Sanborn Head. Who coincidentally worked with the town for road repair. Yeah, Hemlock Road. So the long and the short of it is, this existing conditions plan is a combination of, and I'm not sure the best way to array this. This along the road is a combination of real topographic information in the upper areas. When I say real topographic information, our surveyor did the boundary survey and obtained the topographic information for the upper portion of the site, so we can be clear what we're looking at. The soil, and when we walked the site, we were standing in this corner looking at the neighbors. The ravine that's here, we actually located 3 ravine areas that Sean could address in some detail. Physically shot the edges of those with the survey, so we know exactly what they are. And what we're proposing effectively is a home on slopes of less than 25%. We'll set this aside. And by the way, the bottom is Bragg Hill Road with Brook. We're taking the same orientation. This is a different scale plan. The proposal is to put a home and a garage with an ADU in the northwest corner of this corner, which we looked at on the site. The driveway would be across from property owned by Robin Shields and her driveway, with a wastewater system immediately below that. I can talk about that in some detail, but I think the person that probably needs to share about site stability and so forth is Sean.
And just for the record, those are exhibits 6 and 7 in your packets that we just looked at. Sean,
Sure. Well, I can address any questions that come up as I discuss. So, we were called in by the previous homeowner or landowner just to evaluate, hey, is this piece of property developable? And our role was to basically evaluate the slopes and the stability of those slopes. So obviously it is steep. Down at the bottom is exposed, where the brook is exposed bedrock. As you look up at the slopes, there are 3 what we call lobes that have, I'll put in air quotes, failed. Or the soil has just slipped down to the bottom to the brook. So they're not super deep. It's all superficial, and it's not uncommon in Vermont to sort of have these occur naturally in the woods. And sort of that's what's happening here. In terms of being able to develop this property, there's enough setback, and that's why we had worked with Pathways to basically show on a plan, like what's our plan distance? How far away are we from soils that are steepened and have shown some signs of instability? So on the plan, you can see that the house is basically set up in that back north west corner. And in terms of stability of that area of the land, it's not stable. So that's the best place to put, if this property was to be developed, that's where we would put it. So back when the previous owner asked us to look at this, we basically said, yes, the land is developable, but it could only be up in this upper quadrant. Greg purchased property and, hired us to basically back him up on our previous evaluation. So the soils are dense, it's glacial till soils. There are a number of borings and test pits that were done by others. We reviewed that information. I had already, back in 2022, walked the site, identified those three unstable areas. Again, it's almost like a separate part of the property. It's almost can be its own part of, you know, its own parcel.
Right.
It's not involved in any way for the new proposed house, garage, and ADU. And also the septic that's proposed too.
When, what, sorry. Nick, is it okay to ask a question at this point?
Sure.
Just a quick one. I'm not sure about the distance between the lines. I know it's elevations, and so it's different feet between them. Approximately, what is the distance from the solid line, the edge of the development envelope, to where the house is from like, so the house,
Jeff has a scale,
just,
so we can pull that up, but we had previously, I'm trying to pull up my dimensions here. We previously labeled on a plan, like how far back is what we were calling our setback.
60 feet.
There you go. Yep. So I have distances.
Jeff, you measured that off which exhibit?
That would be whatever plan sheet 2 is, Steve. I don't know the exact number.
This is 20.
Yeah.
Here.
He says 7.
And so you look at it from here, this is 20, so from here to here is, yeah, roughly 60. So
About halfway up
yeah,
west edge of the boundary.
Any other questions?
I have a question, John McCabe. You're basically wanting to develop across from the Norwich Fire District Drive, correct?
I mislabeled that, Don.
Oh, that's Robin
yeah,
Shields Drive.
Shields, yeah, I
Okay.
failed to move that in the.
All right, well, my question is still, let me cross that out. Because you're fairly close to the Norwich Fire District, which has a reservoir and a pump, I believe. Has there been any measurements or discussion about whether there's going to be any effect on the Norwich Fire District?
Can I address that if you don't mind? So I'd like to talk a little bit about the drainage and the wastewater and the water. I think I talked to Mike Tebbetts a while ago, but the idea is that we're able to easily tie in with a water service, but there's
Right.
not gonna be enough heads, so there'll have to be a pump that would supply the pressure in the home.
Mhm. But I'm also thinking of underground, because the reservoir sits underground. Have there been discussions of whether there could be any infiltration involved in the town water supply from this development?
No, and I don't, I mean, it's a concrete tank. As the water main comes up Dutton Hill Road, that trench would, convey anything that's in the trench as far as groundwater goes.
Yeah.
To your point further, go ahead.
Just to clarify, the concrete tank is the Norwich Fire District Reservoir.
It is,
Okay.
yeah, it's
Oh,
fed
you're-
from
okay.
the Farrell farm, at the Farrell pit.
Yeah.
Anyway, gravel pack well, sorry. So an element of this project, and I'll use this sheet that Sean referenced, John Turner, which is another geotechnical firm, who did test pits, 5 test pits. Our firm did 3 test pits that we didn't show on this. But Tom Otterman and Matt Otterman did 3 other test pits we showed there. So the information shown in the test pits is pretty consistent, and Sean says it's till within 6 feet anyway. They vary. Seasonal high water table, from my standpoint, for wastewater design, is gonna be down 3-4 feet or so, depending on which test pit you're in. One of the things we're proposing to do, it's gonna be a shed roof, and Greg can describe that is sloped back toward Dutton Hill Road. And we wanna collect the runoff on the Dutton Hill side and convey it in a drain that runs the entire length of the road, the property. So it's basically an under drain. The idea is that we're gonna bifurcate any underground drain, any water in the ground that's coming down, to address Don's question a different way. So Sean had, when he was giving us guidance about how to look at constructing the house, we're looking at a walkout, so we're gonna be down a full 8 to 10 feet well into what that till is, and the idea is to cut off any subsurface drainage, that is above the house to prevent, essentially prevent it from going down through the house. So one of the added features on this plan is from a geotechnical or groundwater standpoint is that.
When you say walkout, you're talking about, does that mean on the backside?
Yeah, so it's 2 floors on the, Patrick, on the Bragg Hill side, it's 2 floors.
Yeah.
This is walkout. And then
Yeah, got it. And then see the wastewater stuff, this is just for my curiosity, is the, like, the potable water, is that gonna be a well, or is this part of the Norwich thing that Don's referring to?
proposals to tie into the water main that goes up to the concrete tank,
Okay,
and then basically boost it from there into the home.
okay,
No well.
got it. I understand how you were referring to that earlier. I wasn't totally sure. I was following.
Yeah, let's see, it's coincident with the setback on the 2 portions, like the proposed development. It's right on the setback line.
And I see in the plans you had an idea of what to do if there was erosion by adding riprap or maybe landscape
Vegetation.
alterations. Did I see that right?
So that would be the lobes that are down the hill.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if Greg wanted to, do any repairs to those over time, it's basically, trying to revegetate those
Outside of the building envelope.
outside. the
okay.
building. Yep. The soils that were exposed in test pits by, John Turner and others, it was shallow, holes and refusal, so they dug, 5 to 6 feet and couldn't dig any deeper. And so that's either dense glacial till or the top of the bedrock. So for Greg, he's building on rock, right? So he's gonna have a solid foundation for his home, if this is, the application is accepted. But in terms of the instability of the slope, there would be no continuity between the house and the slope, just because there's shallow rock where he wants to build. There's no influence of the soils that want to flow down to the bottom, to influence the.
Will the devegetation have anything to do with the soil
So
stabilization?
we have that 60-foot setback, over time. So if we have steep slopes and it's soil and it's not vegetated, over time, that's just gonna continue to wrap, it's continue to erode. So, I don't know if you guys peeked over the side of the hill and looked down, but it's actually revegetating on its own naturally. And that's typically what happens out in the wilderness, out in the woods. But if we had a hard rain, like this summer, it's, almost no rain. So in terms of what could have eroded this summer, it didn't, and it probably revegetated naturally on its own. For Greg, in terms of future, stability of the slope, it's really just trying to promote what naturally will happen on its own, is just revegetate so there's not exposed soil.
Just to dig a little deeper in that first, if you don't mind. So during the actual construction phase, I don't know exactly where we have any say in this, but what I was thinking also, that and more is like in the initial defoliation, when the machines come in and there's exposed soil and there's a relatively easy path to waterways. I'm just thinking, is there anything we should consider when it comes to the stream health from sediment and washout going in just during the construction phase?
Can I start first, Sean? One of the things, excuse me, that I found interesting is there's a ditch that runs along the north side of Dutton Hill Road down to 2 culverts that the town manages, fairly new culverts. One's 15-inch and one is 18-inch. So all of the runoff on the uphill side of Dutton Hill Road is basically conveyed, and there's a culvert at Robin Shields driveway as well, down beyond, well beyond the development envelope. And so all the surface water that may come down towards the road is being conveyed to the town culverts. Right.
From the north side.
Yeah, so the only runoff that we're possibly looking at is I'm gonna argue there's a little bit of a crown on the road. So it's the road, from the road to this side. The grading that we're proposing is basically we want to have the roof sheet back toward the road, collect it in a rain garden or something like that. Convey all of the runoff that may hit the north side of the home in by an under drain to essentially this location where the culverts are, to basically eliminate all potential rainwater that.
I mean, nothing from the house or the construction, in my mind, would run towards Dutton Hill. It would all shed away from Dutton Hill.
We're putting it all toward Dutton Hill. The roof is supposed to be tipped back as a shed roof toward Dutton
The
Hill.
roof runoff, but the,
You're asking during that narrow period of time when they're actually building.
yeah,
Okay.
So during construction.
Yeah.
It's the spirit and the intent of, my wife and I, why we're building this is to be as minimally disruptive to the natural elements that currently exist on the property. That being said, there will be, and I don't know if this is, I have to defer to experts, but anything beyond the actual disturbing of the soil for the building in the house area, we're not putting a big yard in, we're not clearing lots of trees out and all that.
Hmm.
I think that, I'm not the expert, would mitigate or at least curtail some of the effluent from the construction site that could go down there.
okay,
I
thank
think
you.
just by standard construction practices, you know, there's gonna be an erosion control plan, like
Okay.
you can't go just willy-nilly and dig and let rainwater just erode your site. And that, for a contractor, that just makes a mess, so he's gonna wanna control erosion, and usually for residential, there's definitely a plan in place.
That's good.
And we can, make sure that they're compliant with the Vermont handbook on erosion control.
You will
Yeah.
after this
In-
stage.
Well, we can,
Sheriff Steve.
yeah, both when we approve this
Yep,
and, at the building permit stage.
okay.
So we can address your concern about construction erosion.
And that concern was
It is
addressed
standard
to you
practice.
/ to us as well as to him, so, okay.
Just piggyback on that, I did look down and I did see the steep drop offs and the slope. I know that there's gonna be a 60-foot slope setback, but I guess, Sean, my question to you as the expert, you can 100% say that through maybe seismic activity or, huge rainfalls like hurricanes or, tropical storms, you can say for sure that where this house will be, there's no issue or probability of severe erosion where it would impact the house or the element where living will be. I mean, I see this and I just think of what Mother Nature can do, but if you're telling me as an expert, no, it's on bedrock, that with the erosion mitigation plan, it'll be stable. I just wanted to hear from you of the expert, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, it's steep.
Yeah, for sure, and especially when you do take that peek over the edge and just look down there, and it's always a perspective from looking down instead of looking up, it always makes it a little bit worse.
Sure.
But in terms of where the, if you look at the sheet 2 there and you see all the dots, so those dots are indicating, where test pits were dug. And you can see that the majority of that work was actually south of where they want to build.
Uh-huh.
And so
These are.
that's even better to know that it's shallow rock there.
Okay.
And I'm sure that if they continue to do evaluations down the slope,
Uh-huh.
the rock is gonna eventually start to steepen up and head down. And we also know that bedrock's exposed at the bottom, so
Okay.
I'm very confident that this hillside is just covered by a thin veneer of soil and then there will be
Okay.
rock below it. So in terms of Greg's property, most likely, and we actually haven't evaluated this part for him in terms of construction, he may have to deal with rock removal as he's digging, and most likely it should be rippable, and he's not gonna be doing any blasting or anything, but that still should be evaluated by, the builder when they go in and actually do the work. So in terms of stability for the resident, the building structure, I don't see any concerns on that.
Can I clarify one thing, so if I may? I understood, and, I've actually walked up these guys, from the bottom. It's kind of fun, but, the 60-foot dimension that I shared with Elisa is to the development envelope. It's actually 110 feet from that over the edge to the proposed structure.
I just have one question, with this site plan, we see the location of the building footprint. I know this is a conceptual plan. I note that there are 2 points where it intersects with the setbacks. Given the circumstances, what is the feasibility of, pushing back 2-3 feet from that setback? How much of an impact?
Personally, I would rather keep it as tight as possible with the understanding that a licensed Vermont surveyor would stake it and then confirm that it doesn't enter into the setback itself. And I may be too conservative, Sean, a couple feet may not matter. But in this case, just over time, we're just trying to be as conservative as possible and keep it as close to the road as possible. We do tons of stakeout for projects and can control that as a condition of whether building permit are here.
And within that 20 feet that you're, the corners touch, would a light post or a cement walkway or any hardscape feature violate that setback if they wanted to?
Potentially, yes. I mean, we do have exemptions, but, the sort of golden rule is, any structure that's not exempt requires a permit. So in a case where you had hardscaping that had, walls, or if you wanted to, increase the entrance, there are cases where that would immediately go into the setback. There could be improvements that would require building permit.
Okay, it's a hypothetical.
It's a hypothetical.
And I just wanted to ask, like, reviewing some of the materials you supplied, so the report, geotechnical investigation report from JTC. So they had a lot of details relating to recommendations for construction. And so my question is, do you plan to follow all those recommendations?
Yeah, and so a little bit of context and backstory. So when I first, Sean had mentioned, they had worked, both Sean and Jeff had worked on the property prior to me purchasing, my
Right.
wife and I purchasing it. Before I actually purchased the property, the previous owner, David Byrne, and I had a discussion, and I said, I'd really like a geotechnical group to come out that's not associated with you or anybody to do a secondary survey. And they did. And that's what's supplied there. And part of that was I was requesting also some building recommendations so that we understood. And as you can see, their findings and same work are very, very similar. And that's why that's in there. And that's already been shared with the builder and the guy that's building that we've chosen, if you get to go ahead and build it, he's from Vermont. It was on slopes, mostly a little bit further south of here, but
Okay, thank you.
so yes, absolutely.
Can I make one comment on that? Just for a sec, like where you were, Linda, with JTC's page 9, it talks about in 6.3. It makes comments like the geotechnical engineer reviewing the soil conditions, and that would be something, we've talked about. By all means, Sean should be present to help you, as he previously testified.
Yeah, in terms of the recommendations that JTC provided, it's pretty much a standard, slab on grade, shallow footings. There's no there were no recommendations in their report that were abnormal, special conditions, this is really unstable soils, you need to have a special type of foundation. It's all the standard construction stuff. So it's a very standard geotechnical report, and I sort of started off with he's building on the rock. It's like he couldn't be any more stable.
Yeah.
In terms of how and when he's going to build it.
Excellent. Good. Thank you for all this detail. Any other questions?
Sorry.
Of course.
Going again. I appreciate the detail in so I'm on 6.4, 6.5 of the, consultant's work, there's a lot of emphasis on the need to, if this shows signs of slipping, then someone else needs to be called in. Makes a lot of sense to do that, certainly. My question is about, like, there's discussion of placing stakes or posts or something. It can be done with GPS points or by placing stakes, and by putting them in a line, you can tell whether the slope is slipping in a direction. Who monitors that? Who's responsible for that? How would anybody know that that change has occurred? And I would add that, for me, when I read the 2022 report, I said, I wonder what the weather was then. It was a very dry summer. Actually, we had 2 summers that were very dry, followed by 2 flood summers. The 2 summers before this one were horrible floods. And so I was wondering whether there'd been any slippage in those areas. And I said, I like this idea of putting those stakes in, because that would tell a person. But who monitors that, and for how long, and what if they change? Who deals with it?
Yeah, so something like that, we call that, just witness stakes, so
Yes.
typically they're, placed, parallel with the contours, and it's for, a homeowner, really, it's that simplistic. A homeowner could just get a string line, put a bunch of stakes in there, and just know that, hey, when I set these were straight. And I put a string line in between, and I can monitor those stakes. Typically, the 2 outside stakes are beyond where slippage would occur. And the middle stakes, you would say, hey, is my slope slipping down gradient? That discussion was more about the actual slopes that are, beyond the developable area.
Uh-huh.
My guess is if we were to look at the 2022 topo, and then the new stuff today, and I think the 22 stuff was just LiDAR, like what you guys did actually do survey
Yeah, well, we shot the tops of these guys.
in
So,
22.
yeah, so if I may, we do this with Sean's shop for different projects. I was thinking about one with 5 or 6 homes in Woodstock.
Yeah.
Really interesting. So one of the things we did, these dark lines that are shown, this is on sheet 1. I don't know which exhibit it's being. The dark lines, the tops of these, our surveyor physically put the prism on those spots.
Right there.
Sean, on all 3, actually, Sean asked us routinely. So let me frame it this way. Once we actually locate those, we can replicate them. So if there's ever a question about, is the top of that different? We get calls from him somewhat frequently to say, hey, I need you to go check that one and see where it is. So, but reason we shot it, if I can stop mumbling through this, is to be able to replicate it.
And that's better than witness stakes, because that, witness stakes is more, how does that look? You sort of like by eye,
Yeah.
and you physically do put a string in between, and the string does help you. It's like, hey, I set this out, and every stake was in line with that string. If the middle stakes are now not touching the string, and the 2 outside stakes are still where they're at, it's like, well, that's a movement.
Mhm.
But you want survey to actually give you that.
Since
Hard truth.
since you were out there both times, just anecdotally, is it your sense that in these 2 really wet years that we had, that to me, that would be a pretty good indication if things
Yeah.
are gonna slip or not? Do those places that had slipped before look about the same, or do you think there's been
So
change?
I actually I wasn't able to walk the site recently.
Mm.
If those rips have moved, you wouldn't see fresh vegetation. It would be all soil again.
Hmm.
And so I'm pretty sure that that's not the case.
That's reassuring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, especially for, what has happened in 23 and 24, those
Yeah,
July
absolutely.
storms that the
Yeah.
state had to go through.
Thank you.
Patrick,
Yeah.
kind of a follow-up I have is, I noticed I like the idea of these witness stakes, it's interesting, and so what's the recommendation that relates to them? Where would that take place on the property? Was that within the development envelope, or it's the other rest of the acreage?
It's just the rest of the.
Okay,
I think we have someone online who has a question. Would you come off mute, please, and just introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Kate. Fisher. I live on the parcel above. I just want to say that as someone who spelunks her way down the cliffside multiple times in chase of my Labrador's soccer ball, that we've had no like additional runoff in the wet years. There's been no additional erosion. The vegetation has been constantly growing on both my new neighbor's property and ours, if that admonishes any of the concern. Just wanted to flag that from a soccer ball retriever, because apparently my retriever won't do it. So just dropping that in. If that helps.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Any other questions? Okay, great. Steve?
Yeah, maybe we have some questions from audience in the members of the audience. Does anybody like to speak to this application from the public?
I think we can maybe close the opening act.
Kate's here.
Follow it up. I'll just like dominate here from my living room floor. Apparently I'm using my, all right. No, I'm in complete support of this. Wonderful individuals. Would be lucky to have them in our community, to be totally honest. These are people who have traveled the world helping public health. So they're kind of the best of the best. In terms of living on the cliff, which we do, our house somehow was grandfathered in, so it doesn't meet any of the criteria that are now required, and we are very safely not having erosion. So I just want to flag that. So like, moral of the story, extremely supportive. And I feel completely okay about the building site, where it's located, and that it will be done thoughtfully, because these people have been nothing but thoughtful the whole time. They've sent text messages to all of the members on the Hill. They've talked to all of us. They've been deeply like, you couldn't kind of get a better neighbor, to give you a sense. So I just want to flag that. The only thing that I do want to bring up, and this is not in any way, shape, or form about the build site, or any of that, is just that there seems to be inconsistencies with how the parking area by the Norwich Reservoir is navigated. And I just wanted to surface that. I know that's not your jurisdiction whatsoever. But I do want to flag that hunters park there regularly, and yet when people who live on the Hill or are doing like a septic redesign, for example, this was our experience, park there, we get threatened to be towed. And so I do think some clarity around that prior to the build beginning would be great, with whatever governing body is responsible for that. And I just want to put that into the record for everybody's sake. That's it. I hope we can get this passed, because they deserve to build here, and we'd be lucky to have them in this town. So I'll stop talking now.
I'll move to, can I make a motion?
Please.
I'd like to move to close the public portion of this.
A second.
All those in favor? Thank you very much. Nice to meet you, Greg. Nice to see you. Okay.
Oh, nine. Okay, great.
All right.
Get me here to recess.
Stretch, reset.
Yeah.
Yep, let's say please.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. You called me here.
That's almost hunters, my goodness.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So
You
everybody.
gotta start driving a Chevy Silverado instead of a Volvo SUV. You probably won't get ticketed.
I think the tow truck drivers know who they're gonna mess with. Oh. When I was pulling out, there was like 3 deer 15 feet from the road.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was my beat up Tacoma, just as an FYI, that they tried to. My
another
absolute beater of a manual.
Or the table.
Boy.
I wanted to get the deer that I saw.
Do we now sign off? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
This one.
What was the question?
Okay.
Yeah,
That's great.
it's what we're all about.
Hey, this is the chance to air the grievances.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I do this? So we can.
Great.
All right.
Good look.
Yeah, I like this.
Oh, my goodness.
No, I know, I know.
Discretion, Chair.
Okay, let's open up the next hearing, application number 53 SPR 25. Applicant Upper Valley Agricultural Association, with the consent of the property owner, Dyke Rose the Trust. Yes, the trust, yep, and we have a site plan and conditional use review for an open air market and a multi-use building by said applicant. So we have an application and we have a narrative with, that looks like 7 exhibits, A through G. And can I get a motion to put the application and exhibits into the record? Unless you think there's something to do first.
And the letter?
That's what I was gonna add.
Okay.
Oh, we have one additional letter from,
The Siebert family.
And a D.
why don't we read it out? Like, yeah, I don't have it in front of me.
Sorry.
And who
Yeah.
are you two? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, my name's Peggy Allen.
Okay.
I'm with the Upper Valley Agricultural Association. I'm Nika Myla Flynn. I am also with the Upper Valley Agricultural
Okay.
Association.
And great, before we get to you all, there's one last email, and that is from
It's from Dean and Ann Siebert.
Dean and Ann Siebert. Okay,
You want me to read it out loud? It's
Why
great.
not?
sure, yeah.
Dear Peggy and board members of the UVAC, as a Norwich resident and an abutter to the permanent home for the Norwich Farmers Market, we just want you to know that we are completely supportive of your efforts. Thank you, Dean and Ann Siebert.
Okay,
Are
thank
we,
you.
are we allowed to submit that since it's to her, not to us?
You,
And we can't interrogate it.
It's fine. It's, I mean, it's.
No,
that's a problem.
we can, I mean, but
Okay.
by just the fact of reading it into the record, we can,
Okay, right.
yeah.
All right, so with that, there would be eight, or I guess, 3 exhibits. The second one having the 7 subparts A through G.
So
Need a
moved
motion?
that, yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Second,
Sure.
Stu, can always count on you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, and now please introduce yourself, or actually, first, let's do the formal thing. We swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you both. And you've already introduced yourselves. But please tell us the nature of this application.
Absolutely. So the Upper Valley Agricultural Association is a 501c3 that was created about a year ago with the primary intent of trying to find a permanent home for both the winter and summer market of the Norwich Farmers Market, which will be 50 years old next year and is probably the most successful farmers market in the state of Vermont. The land directly across is approximately 34.7 acres. We have a purchase and sale agreement that was made with the trust. And we have been working with a variety of experts to evaluate the feasibility of moving over. And they are here tonight and are very in all of the pieces that you're going to see here. I want to just make clear that so again, the purpose of the Upper Valley Agricultural Association was to create a permanent home, but as a 501c3, we also have an educational mandate. And our goal is to try and create an environment where we are celebrating agriculture in the Upper Valley, provide educational classes around ag and so forth, which I can answer more questions to that. Nika is on the board. She's also the market manager. And so it's been invaluable to have her expertise. We have here Paul Simon, who is going to walk through the site plan. And then Chris Kennedy, the architect, is going to walk through the building. At any time, you can stop and ask questions.
And I'm just wondering, should we swear them in as well? If they're good testimony?
Yes, sure, absolutely. How about when they speak?
Or we could just do everyone's and give testimony at once.
Yeah, let's do that.
So, of you who are planning on giving testimony, if you could raise your right hand.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you wanna go to this corner so that.
Both visible for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could probably give you a good sense of when it's visible to those on Zoom, so. Yep, maybe if you start
Or
speaking.
do we adjust this?
It's, the camera should track.
Okay.
So, is the owl following me? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So.
Yeah, it is, but
Should I?
those in Zoom, can you see can you stick your head down?
Yeah. We also submitted this, if it helps, we did submit this, a 1.1 colorized version of the plan in the
Yeah.
packet as well. So
Let
you
me
have the
get-
black and white version, and you also have the color.
I can share my screen.
That's this.
So, I'm Paul Hyman, I'm with Bowman, formerly Park Architecture, our office is in Etna, New Hampshire. As part of the team, my work was to focus on the landscape and lighting requirements for the project. And, what we have is following your regulations, section 5.003, a mixture of hardwood and evergreen plantings. We also worked to minimize the lawn that, to use conservation mix, which we're doing around the wetland areas. And then where we get more in the upland areas, we did the northeast wildflower mixture. We have a conceptual layout for the vendor area. And we're also including grass pavers. So it's gonna look like grass, but it's reinforced so that you can drive on it for the overflow parking. So we'll have the visual appearance of a lawn area.
That plastic matrix that actually has soil.
That's one of the product, there's different types, but that's the grass paved tube product that, it's placed underground a little bit and then the grass over it. And it has the look of a lawn.
And before you move on, where is that on the
So
map?
where you
To the
see,
far right.
that's why we
Okay.
provided the color version too, because I think it's helpful, because we did a lighter green to kind of indicate that.
Right,
So the
okay,
only paved part is in the center here,
okay.
and then you see that the grass paver system could be used, here. And of course, the parking over here.
Would you mind explaining the grass paver a little more?
Sure, yeah. So basically, it's designed to allow, they call it H20 loading, so you could even drive fire trucks on it and emergency vehicles. You can plow over it. It does have to be carefully installed. Sometimes if it's not installed correctly, plows can't pick it up and,
Yeah.
so that's been a problem in some cases, but if it is installed correctly, it is a good system to use. It's also permeable, so what that does is it helps allow your stormwater to infiltrate. So that's desirable in this case, so.
Susan, are you planning on putting that in the vendor area, the conceptual area there where the stalls will be? The outdoor area for the,
Yeah, at least where parking is and perhaps the vehicular access.
so what will be in the center there? You have the booths or whatever you wanna call them around the
It'll
center,
still be a lawn type
on lawn.
mixture, and then there'll be the vendor stations as well.
Excuse me, and before we get too far, could you explain what's the difference between the vendor area and the building? Like, I didn't understand. I
Yeah.
thought all the vendors would be in the building.
I did too.
Yeah, so let's back up, because we kind of dove right into
Yeah.
landscaping, and we probably need a little more of an overview, and I apologize. What you're looking at is access from Route 5 into an area that we sometimes refer to it, as we've been working on this for the last year, as a campus. So there is summer parking, year-round parking, a 7,500 square foot building, and outdoor vendor space. The 7,500 square foot is intended to provide a winter home. We'll also be able to do market stalls around the outside because there's a 10-foot overhang, but that big open space would be for the winter market. But there'll be two big overhead doors, and we would absolutely be integrating that building into the summer market as well. So you'd have summer vendors outside where you're seeing that kind of triangle shape. And then vendors would also be inside. You could imagine hypothetically that it made the most sense that all the, food vendors might be inside. And so you go inside and then you can go outside with your food. So it'd be, the building would be absolutely integrated into the summer market as well. So that, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, and may I just ask, so
Yeah.
what does the adjective conceptual apply to? The vendors or the area?
The conceptual part is the vendor booths, where
Yeah,
they're.
but what is conceptual about it? I just like, what is it like a
Like there
it
might
makes
not-
me think it's a hypothetical thing, but that's not what you mean by it.
No, not in any way. I think conceptual strictly means that right now they're shown as more of a permanent structure, which perhaps there's a little mobility in how we choose to arrange the vendors that works the best for the farmer's market.
Okay.
Can I also ask, are you modeling this after common European markets, which often have outdoor and then permanent indoor buildings with food vendors?
I think.
Oh, I just was curious.
I love it. I don't know, I haven't heard that expression, but as we've been working with the vendors to understand what their priorities are and what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah,
If we're gonna build this kind of a building, it's ridiculous for it to only be utilized for a winter market, so it clearly needs to be integrated into the summer market as well. It also gives us a little more elbow room.
do you see it as a place for educational purposes?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Do
That's
you
a
see-
priority.
Do you see it as a place where you could make money by renting out that space for community activities?
Certainly
Have you
there
thought
needs
of
to be, we absolutely have thought about it, because what's very clear is that the operating budget for this project is not gonna get covered by the lease that the Norwich Farmers Market's going to pay. So the concept would be, when we create this, we'd create, let's say, a 99-year lease so that the market has a permanent home. But
Right,
there's no way that the vendor fees, and that's how the market runs right now, is on the vendor fees, will cover that. So our hope is through classes with a nominal fee, but also fundraising activities tied to agriculture. So you can imagine apples are in season, so we have an apple press party, a farm to table event,
okay,
wreath making.
okay,
But that's not gonna cover all. We would also wanna have the opportunity to rent it out,
yeah,
to rent, so that we know that we've got some way of generating some revenue to be able to cover the operating costs.
yeah.
How will that be an open air market?
Will that be an open air market?
The fundraising
The
specifically.
fundraising portion of it?
Renting it out for,
It-
I
it
mean, I'm
is-
jumping ahead to
Yeah,
probably
it's
the
in
more
service-
interesting
it's in
part of
service
this
the open air
meeting,
market.
but.
I would use the expression it's in service of the open air market, because we can't do this if we don't have some way to certainly, pay for the maintenance of it.
And perhaps the answer to your question, Patrick, would be that the open air market functions are, I don't know, 75% or 80% of the activities, and these other activities are the rest of that percentage. Or
So what
that
is,
might be the
what
answer.
is the condition that what is the use condition that we're at?
I asked the question because
Yeah.
getting space for any kind of activities in Norwich is very, very difficult. And this is a nice big building and, you've got a lovely group like the Norwich Women's Club that needs a
Right.
space for some activity, for the whole town. I'm just wondering.
I think that's very much.
I'm just
been a
putting
big
it in
part
your
of the
head.
Discussion, because I think all basis of the farmer's market is community sharing
Of course.
Yeah.
and lifting one another up to an extent. So why would we hold on to this building that we aren't unable to share? It's not locked full when we don't really have another home here except for.
Okay, I don't wanna take us too off track.
Well, let's stay on it just for a minute.
Yeah.
You mentioned, a lease. What is who would be the leaseor and the leasee? Like, so I thought there was a proposal for the Upper Valley Agricultural Association to buy the land.
Yes, and improve the land.
And
do
improve the
all
land.
Fundraising
Sure.
for this to come about.
So, and then it's a separate legal entity that is the market itself?
Yes,
Yes.
the market yes, that's correct. The Norwich Farmers Market is its own standalone entity. And it's a not-for-profit in the state of Vermont, but it's not a 501c3.
But oh, okay, sure, but the Upper Valley Agricultural Association is a 501c3.
Correct.
And do you know what so right now I'm making a lot of assumptions here, so I don't know this, I'm asking.
Yeah.
It's zoned as rural residential, so it would be, paying to the tax base like a normal rural residential undeveloped like field or whatever, right? Everybody with me?
Yeah,
Yes.
with you, but
Okay,
no answer.
no question yet.
Okay.
So what is the effect of a 501c3 buying the land and operating on the tax that Norwich as a town would receive? Like, does the entity have to pay property taxes to the town equivalent to like what a homeowner would have to pay? If you know.
I believe at this time that's correct. When I raised it with our attorney, he said, this isn't a topic you deal with until you get to the other side. And so.
Sorry, I didn't know, yeah, but what's that's correct. I didn't mean to ask a leading question. Do you know if there's taxes or no
Is it
taxes?
relevant for a development review?
I think becomes relevant when you start talking about renting it out more broadly and asking us for that, permission, so yeah.
Cause we're supposed to look at this, what's the
And I'm
difference,
not taking it aside on it, I'm just curious.
what's the difference between an open air market and a barn sale? If it's happening on a rural residential property?
And a what?
A barn tag sale, a yard sale?
Right.
I think some degree of continuity. Should I read the definition
Yeah.
out loud?
Sure.
Okay, so an open air market is a building or site or an event or a series of events used for selling or offering for sale at retail of locally grown vegetables or produce occurring in a pre-designated area where there may be a collection of individual vendors or single vendor who has raised the vegetables or produce and have or has taken the same on consignment for retail sale. Also includes the incidental sale of retail of artisan produced handcrafts, artwork, baked goods, prepared goods.
So it seems like maybe it's like a standing permission, right?
Yeah.
Like whereas if you just had a garage sale.
Where the goods are narrowly defined as artisanal or locally sourced?
Yeah, with, some latitude there.
Okay,
And this is the change in the recent, zoning rules. right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
And we have,
okay.
I know that the planning commission, at least some members are.
Yeah,
are-
the chair
are
is
key-
on, yeah.
Are on, so if we get to questions like that, certainly it's relevant, but just, cause I feel like we just kind of didn't really resolve I just wanted to get your understanding for the record, cause again, it's just your understanding, I'm
Yep.
not saying it's the truth or whatever, but is your understanding that there will be property taxes paid to Norwich if the sale goes through and you're the, owner of the land?
I would think so, but we haven't gone to that. We haven't gone and sought that answer yet.
Okay. Thank you.
And now for something completely different. Access.
Yes,
Route 5 is a busy place. There's a lot of fast drivers there, I know. I'm not one of them, but what do you, what are your ideas and maybe proposals for a turning lane where you could be separated from the Route 5 traffic in order to enter the area? Right now, there's no provision for that.
Yeah, my name is Dennis Marquez, and I'm part of the development team here. I did meet with the state. The state said that highway has a lot of capacity. There was no mention of turning lanes or anything like that by the state. That site was chosen for two reasons. Number one, the site distance along that whole frontage was forever. There was no issue with site distance. The other reason is we had to design an entry to come in so that we minimize the crossing of wetlands. So that's exactly why it was cited there.
Yeah.
But, there is a memo from the state, and you'll see it in the packet, where they indicated that, it was just, that the highway is no near capacity to justify this.
Yeah.
Where's the bus stop? In relation to here? On what side?
It's a
It's in front of
temporary.
family place.
There's a temporary one right now.
For the markets?
Yes.
State food is right, the idea.
Oh,
The state says
I
it's fine.
I guess future pending,
I don't
anything
think it's gonna
approved.
change.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And a
You're
cross,
saying-
Crosswalk?
crosswalk, cause I see there's a, what I'm guessing is a pedestrian path that runs parallel to the entry.
Anyway, you're saying-
Okay,
I think a lot of logic for that is also because of where the bus stop would be, and so logically it would provide a pedestrian path for them to be able to
Right.
run from the bus path, which currently, right now, it's, divided, but, I can't speak to crosswalk right now, but.
cause the bus wouldn't pull in.
No, it is not, no.
May I just ask, since we're on the topic of traffic and stuff like that, could you point generally to like where, I'm not sure it's shown on the map, but where is the turn to the current farmer's market? It's probably at the very edge of the bottom of that map. No, that's Fog Section.
Yeah, I actually don't think it's. I don't know exactly
It's probably a little, yeah,
Is this it right here?
yeah, probably down there.
There's a dotted line
Yeah,
down by under the street.
this one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So this is where the bus currently stops, by the way, just.
Okay, yeah.
And is the bus stop is also, a thing that's there because of the farmer's market, right?
It is,
it?
yeah, they started that a few years ago when they got special funding, to start
Right.
Saturday stop, just for us, it's one of the most widely used stops that they provide now, they've continued Saturday service, it's been really successful.
Awesome.
Which has been great.
Have to assume it's free parking
Absolutely.
Of course.
for every
Yes.
event that's rented out.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think it would have to be.
yeah.
Okay. Just because I know that there are, Fogs doesn't love the current parking situation.
No, it doesn't.
We're very familiar
No,
with
we're
that.
very.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is free parking. You're asking a question of, in 30 years, would we ever charge? I can't predict it, but we've tried to develop the parking to be, to put on as much parking as we reasonably could, and also to try and create a flow. Because the biggest problem that the farmer's market currently has
Mm.
is the flow. But to answer, it's certainly, the parking was never envisioned as a money maker. It's more, it's there to solve the problem.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the permanent parking that, not the space all the way to the right, the overflow, the permanent parking area. In relation to the current parking for our farmer's market, is this more or less or the same amount of spaces, would you say?
Well.
Do you guys want to take that, or?
Well, I don't know the exact number of spaces. The one thing that we do know, that the way this site is configured, we're gonna be able to get more cars in smaller space, because
Okay.
you don't have delineated lines, you lose an awful lot of space.
Right.
So I believe we have somewhere between, like, you remember 270?
Yeah, 270.
270 spaces?
In that area?
Yeah.
Well,
The blue in the permanent.
Oh.
and
Do
I-
you have a notion of how many cars there are parked at the farmer's market at any given time on a, let's say at 10:30 AM on a Saturday?
Yeah, and I think to this point, it's very tricky to discern that because the parking is so messy, for lack of a better explanation, but there is no clear parking, so.
But what I can tell you is that I spent a Saturday counting cars, just to give you a sense, 75, so this was the third Saturday in August, not one of the biggest weekends. 75 cars arrived before 9 o'clock. That's the locals knowing, get there early. Altogether, there were 850 cars between that 75 and 1 o'clock. 850 cars came and went. just as a side note, 25% were out of state, so that's, tourists, Dartmouth students and second homeowners. And then the remaining 75% was 50% Vermont and 50% New Hampshire.
There,
Yeah, is the only entrance and exit at this location here?
Yes,
Yes.
So everybody is gonna be going in or coming out, going left, going right?
yeah.
as it is now,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know,
yeah.
but King Arthur has one exit and one entrance primarily. I mean, you can use both there.
I think you could also argue that that's not how it was initially planned, because initially there was one public
That's
exit
right.
and that other was planned for employees, and now we all know to use the employee one because it's easier, so
Ah,
I think
learn
it's,
something every day.
I
yeah.
have a question for these guys. You haven't had a chance to weigh in very much.
Have two different lanes.
Yeah, what's the flow plan? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
My question is, because of the bus stop,
Right.
is there a sidewalk proposed?
There is.
Right here.
Oh, that's what that shaded area is. Okay, great.
So the bus stop would probably end up being relocated from here to.
Yeah, okay,
Now,
great.
What about a crosswalk? I know we talked about that and it went away, but does anyone
Yeah.
know?
I think
If the bus is-
From the state.
The state would have to approve.
Right now.
Wow.
And what would be the odds of them approving something like that?
Honestly, it's never been presented to me.
What's it a crosswalk to? I think we're talking strictly.
From the northbound side,
The park where the kids play soccer across the way.
yeah, from Fox side to your side
Right.
is what we were.
For when people get out of the bus to get there.
Yeah. If people are coming from White River and they get dropped off on the Fox side,
Yeah,
But I don't think it would be a big deal for us to ask the state.
No,
I don't think it would be a big deal to put some striping down there, but it really goes from the state.
is there any chance they would require a stoplight?
They have the traffic comment in there. They clearly,
Yeah,
the state does not.
I just thought, hey,
Sure. Did you have a presentation or like a small? You wanted to give?
Building plan if you want.
Yeah, do that.
And while he's grabbing the board, I'll just say that, we follow the regs on your, bicycle rack parking requirements for public use too. Lighting, everything's downcast and dark sky friendly. We also looked at, moving from the parking lot, light pole type fixtures to more of a pedestrian scale. We can get around the building, so you'll see the bollard light fixtures and the canopy that was discussed that goes around the building has canopy lighting that's inset as well. And it's all.
All
this
dark
spec-
sky compliant, all
Right.
covered down, yeah.
And before you retire from your discussion, I did just want to ask this question, is a permeable version for what I'm thinking of now is the paid parking, is that a realistic kind of thing, or would that would not be practical, or would not be functional?
Well, for maintenance and plowing, it's best.
To go ahead,
Well,
yeah,
but,
okay.
because sometimes pervious pavers themselves, we're talking about a different paver than the grass paver, can get pulled up.
Yeah.
Sometimes. So, but there are some that are a little bit more durable than others. And what I would do if we were to introduce that is use those within the parking portions themselves and not the drive aisle, right?
Ah,
right.
So we
okay.
could take a look at that, and later, as part of our stormwater efforts, right, we're gonna be sizing the stormwater system, and if we have more pervious area, right, and that can get counted towards that, then we can reduce the size of a detention area, right? So we'll be looking at, as this advances, all those kinds of.
I think,
Right.
I think the other thing is pervious pavement typically comes with enhanced maintenance.
Mm.
You have to,
always
every 5
something.
years, you have to vacuum it.
Uh-oh,
Suck all
okay.
the fines
That's like my
out of it, so the water will go through it. So that you see a lot of pervious pavement tried in this region, and it goes away after 5 years.
Yeah.
It gets changed,
Yeah, okay, thank you,
So,
thank you.
I can put the, all right.
So I've got the plan and I've got the exterior elevations. So this is the side of the building that faces the road or generally faces the road, and this is the driveway would be coming up this way, and then the park, most of all the park is over here, and the outdoor market is over here. We've got this set up so, depending upon what's happening with the building, there's a vestibule entrance on the side facing the parking, and there's a vestibule entrance on the side facing the outdoor market area. We've got a canopy that you'll see in elevations wraps around the three sides of this open space here. Then there will be some summer and winter some winter vendors actually like to be outside. Who knew? And so there will be some outside and then some on the inside. As we tried to work within a couple of parameters here, we were tasked with trying to get about 64 winter vendors potentially, but we didn't want to make the building another 50% larger because that's 50% more expensive to build. So we've got, I think, somewhere in the range of 40. It's been a while since I remember this number, but 40 on the inside and then usually 2 in every one of these perimeter areas.
So I don't exactly or at all know the formula of how you calculate parking spaces per occupancy of the building, but it seems like these vendors that are arranged on the outside of it are going to potentially lead to more people there.
Yeah, they're part of that number that they try to do in Tracy Hall, which is
Yeah.
is now right, the 60, that's how
Yeah.
you work with what's been happening historically upstairs in the wintertime.
But like to talk peak, to talk when everyone from down south is driving through and it's maxed out, every single bay is filled and there are vendors along the outside of the building. I guess I'm just curious about not what the current farmer's market is, 'cause I have to imagine it's gonna grow to fill a capacity. And this is all kind of pointing towards parking and not having people parking on Hobson Road, cutting through, parking at Fogg's, parking at Kumon. It's like, what about this building and these outside areas? How does that factor into how much parking you have and maybe
Yeah, one thing
speak to that in general?
one thing that's getting
More.
conflated, one thing I think that's getting conflated here is the notion of having vendors on the outside, all the way wrapping around, is for the winter market only. It's not a summer market.
How do we know that it won't creep?
It's a great question. I don't think vendors want to be on the north side. There's,
Yeah, this is gonna be low visibility, except when you're coming into the car, whereas the other side is going. The other thing I will say is the outdoor market area, actually, we've been struggling trying to fill it with the number
Oh, wow.
of vendors that currently exist on the other side of the road, so it's not gonna be that much bigger until you start using the interior of this building for that.
Can we put a condition on how many vendors or can be there at any one
I
time?
hate to limit what this could do for everyone. I'm just more
You're
trying,
concerned Parking.
I'm concerned about parking and the abutting properties not
Sure.
taking the burden.
This is one day, one half day a week.
Except that can't cover the economics.
You're right.
Except
No,
that
no,
can't
I know,
cover
but I'm saying that.
The mass
The
capacity.
mass capacity
Okay.
that you're likely to have. I don't think an educational program is gonna use 270 parking spaces. I mean,
If only.
if you could, it would be great.
No contest.
So I'll just finish with the back portion of the building is, got a kitchen that is not a commercial kitchen. It's gonna have more like a residential level of appliances. So somebody could cater here, but they could not produce it all here, right? So somebody could, there's a little bit of room out back for vehicle and stuff like that. There's storage for chairs and tables here, and then there's restrooms here.
So
So then there's a stair that goes upstairs, and so there's above here, there's an administrative area. And
Is
then
this-
we've got mechanical.
So there's water, is this part of the town water system, or is this not, is this, like, you have
So
to
the-
hit your own well?
No, the current plan is that we went and met with, Hartford to see if Hartford would be prepared to provide water and sewer to the Norwich Farmers Market. And, the town manager was all for it.
Wow.
We were also, accompanied by, Twin Pines, because we're also exploring the potential that's not part of this discussion, to see if there isn't a way to provide affordable housing. Again, this is a 35-acre parcel, everything you've seen is on 10 acres. And so we went to explore affordable housing and the Norwich Farmers Market, and the town manager was, why wouldn't we? Got involved with the Department of Public Works, who agreed that it was very doable. And then we were in front of the Hartford Select Board, who agreed in principle to provide water and sewer for any affordable housing efforts, as well as the farmers market. We let the Norwich Select Board know this the very next day when Hartford voted unanimously. So it's a kind of exciting big deal that we'll be able to tap Hartford for water and sewer for both potential affordable housing on this land, but as well as for this building.
But they don't, there are no, you must put affordable housing on the land.
No,
No,
they're not tied.
Okay.
And it's not the first time.
There's a precedent set.
Hartford ran a service to the church right next door.
The Unitarian Church.
But there's something in between, right? Isn't
There
there?
would be a private connection from Palmer Court, the Hartford utilities there, to this lot,
Oh,
which would
okay.
require
Yeah,
crossing the
the church and the residents
Unitarian Church property.
and that other private residence.
No,
No,
I think
no.
that private residence.
It's up
is-
behind the
Yeah.
private residence.
Oh,
It's-
oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
The
there current,
Unitarian land is contiguous to this lot.
It wouldn't be,
Okay.
it's not along Route 5.
Gotcha.
It-
I see what you mean. Private.
is there current, I guess just curiosity, is there currently any Norwich properties that have private connections to the Hartford?
I believe Unitarian Church does, if I understand
Right.
correctly.
The Unitarian Church and I believe the family
Family
place.
place.
Yeah.
There's the family.
And that's just something that a landowner does on their own. There's no Norwich land. There's no Norwich there's nothing regarding Norwich rules, regulations that would.
No, no, I don't think so, and I don't think it needs municipal approval, but I don't want to speak out of turn. I think they can just do it.
If this public housing project gets piggybacked off of this, would the entry drive
No,
as designed?
no, it's,
That
No.
topic, it's, it's not related at all to these lands in any real
All
way.
right, strike that question.
To what lands? To the lands that we're looking at,
The 32 acres that, are,
but the rest of it is existing wetland, like I think it's a relevant question.
Above.
Would there be a different access point that wouldn't be Route 5 in theory?
absolutely,
Yes.
right.
Oh.
We would be talking about subdividing the land in the future for affordable housing.
I
would
got
be
that
done-
part, but what,
That would be done, up and back and have nothing to do with this.
would it be, yeah, but my question is, how do you get to that land? Is there someone from Hobson or something?
No,
I
no,
don't
no,
appreciate.
no, it would be coming over from Palmer Court where, there would be some land from Unitarian Church.
Got it.
That would get bundled into it.
Okay, okay. I know it's not before us.
Well, I didn't know. Well, the wetlands behind is on there too, but that's another discussion. It's not our problem.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
so the building, like I said, this part of the building is where the large open space is. And then this part of the building is where the two-story portion is. So it's a little bit narrower and a little bit lower. The cupola up here, and the building, trying to look agricultural. The cupola is kind of a nod towards like a sugar shack cupola, which is usually longer and similar to this one. These two
locations are for overhead doors that could open up so that there could be some integration between the building and the outdoor, activities. And, yeah.
That's not the vestibule though that you said before?
These are vestibule right here,
Okay.
and then one facing the parking lot here, and you can see how this is how it projects out.
Sure.
There's, the vestibule is making, the vestibule pops out, it comes out to the front of that as well.
You said that green part, sorry to interrupt, has it 2 stories?
Yeah, that's
Does the second story overlook?
Yeah, so at the far end, so this is a section, looking at the far end of the space, there's an opening that can be, closed as well for to the kitchen. Then there's this viewing window looking from the admin.
On the big expanse.
Yeah, right now,
Nice.
it's a
Pretty nice.
it's a mezzanine, so this is actually technically under the building code, a 1-story building.
Mezzanine.
And so the mezzanine has to actually be physically open, so there's no glass, there won't be any glass here. Unless we turn it into a 2-story building, which has other code issues, so, which are not part of the planning board.
Okay.
Anyway, so there are light fixtures underneath the canopies, and they're pointing straight down. And then there's a light here, you can see this black bar and this black bar, that's a long tube light, mounted, off the wall on extensions that faces down towards the door. Because you have to have light when you leave a building after dark and stuff, so, yeah. that's-
Remind me what your hours are, when you say after dark, what are the hours?
Well, the market runs 9 to 1, but if we were to do farm to table dinner, like dusk or dark, and by code, we gotta have that kind of lighting.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I was thinking more about, is there admin there from 8 to 4, generally most days, there's somebody in the building and lights are on and there's somebody home, or it just pops?
Right now, we've budgeted for a part-time manager. So it would be a daytime, part-time position. This would be in addition to the market manager. The market manager would be managing the market. But there's gonna need somebody who's gonna have to manage the classrooms, the activities, what are we doing with this building to make this, the highest and best use of this building? So that we budgeted to have a part-time manager.
Yeah, I also don't know, getting back to what else can happen here, I don't know how big this compares to Tracy Hall, but this might be a better place to hold town meeting than.
This is the center of government.
Yes. Do you have the elevation? You're right, I'm sorry.
So,
I have another question. I think this is not under the purview of the DRB, but I am just curious to ask, because I can't help but notice, it looks to me like your roof, you will have one very good south-facing roof. And are you at all interested in trying to put solar panels on the roof?
absolutely. Yeah, if it can be fit into the pro forma. it
The
should-
expression we've been using, it would be solar panel ready. Can
Perfect.
we fund it?
Yeah, yeah,
It'll be solar
exactly.
panel.
All right. And you'll have heating because you
Yeah,
want to have it
this will be
covered year round?
a heated building, heated and cooled.
And what's your plan method for that? Again, it's
that's not-
not up to us.
It's a little bit early, but my
Okay.
assumption is it'll be heat pumps.
Okay.
That is DRB related.
Oh, it is? Well, just not to interfere with, but I thought.
I think the idea would be to avoid fossil fuels and to meet or beat energy.
Yeah, okay, excellent.
The current, you mentioned that the applicant was only created in the last year or so.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I can say there's been a team that's been working on it for 3 years.
Oh, sure. No, it's amazing, amazing
But
plan.
until we could get a price that we could live with, which took a long time,
Mhm.
there was no point in creating an entity. But once we realized we were going to be able to be in a striking point for the cost of the land, we needed to create a not-for-profit.
Yeah.
And you can't, just getting into the weeds a little, it's almost impossible to make a farmer's market a 501c3. And we had to have a 501c3 in order to raise the dollars to do this project.
Okay, but the question I was gonna ask is, the current farmer's market, does it rent the land
That we currently sit on.
that you currently use? I'm assuming you don't,
Yes.
the farmer's market doesn't own that
We
land.
do not, we rent from the Hanover Co-op.
Okay, the Hanover Co-op, okay.
Yeah.
Great, and that's, okay, so that will still be, that land, as far as you know, still be owned by the Hanover Co-op? As far as you know,
Currently, as far as I know.
is that zoned commercial?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
How do you plan to raise the funds? You going after grants and like that?
So we have begun, we have 2 phases. Our first phase is to raise $1 million by the end of December and raise 3.7 million the following. Obviously, we're starting with the people in the Upper Valley who have the means and who care about the market. And we've had a lot of very generous donors step forward. We were going to be applying for the Northern Border Regional Catalyst Grant this fall, but it was strongly encouraged that we wait until the spring. We'll be asking them for $1 million in March, and we'll know in June whether we secured that loan. There have been a lot of entities, Vermont Conservation and Housing Board, the Vermont Community Foundation. We've reached out to all the usual suspects and obviously the state as well. I will tell you, we're challenged on the state level because the federal dollars they've lost, the state's in pretty tough shape. Everybody at the state knows what we're up to and have been coming and visiting and scratching their heads trying to figure out how they can help us. But I'm not daunted. It's been very impressive when we've had the meetings. So I think it'll happen. It's not an easy task.
Oh, my God.
My question is about combining your education piece on ag, given where ag, I think particularly in Norwich, has a strong focus that I love on preserving wetlands, looking beyond human footprint to who else lives in our environment and what can we do. And so my question comes from that point. I'm hoping that you guys will follow in those footsteps, and maybe some of your education will be about ecosystems in your area.
I think yes to all of the above. I think that we're all chomping at the bit to have the opportunity to sit down with partners in the region to say, what's the really best way to go about this? I mean, you can do the low hanging fruit and pardon the pun. When strawberries are in season, how to preserve them. How do you deal with invasive species? But we've already spoken with Cedar Circle Farm. They have a whole educational program. They'd love to bring some of that down here. Dartmouth Hitchcock has a lot of nutritional programs, and it'd be great if we couldn't come up with a program that was supported by Dartmouth Hitchcock that took advantage of what was in season and growing. I think the list goes on and on of all the possibilities. It's very exciting.
It is exciting. I'm gonna take you back to this property and the wetlands and the windows on the buildings. So like up close and personal. Birds hitting windows is a big deal for bird death. And so like 40% of birds passing through, and this is a flyway and and the land there would tend to draw birds in. So I would have you think about with your people, there are all sorts of window treatments and things you can do to help avoid that, but that's one thing I think of. On the wetland side and vernal pools, those are hugely impacted because they're small. Me and my shovel can go destroy a vernal pool just when the water changes. No amphibians anymore, no birds coming through. And so I think 2 things about this. One is the amount of salt. So we're already learning about the forever chemical of chloride, that it never leaves the environment, and we've got it all down in 5. And we're thinking about putting in more parking lots with salt in our wintertime. I don't have a solution for that, but you guys are smart and you're going to be dealing with a lot of smart, forward-thinking people. I would say if those grass things that you're talking about are, or ordinarily I would say plastic, nada, but maybe there's a good side to that in decreasing salt usage or filtering out salt. But I would have you think about the presence of salt in the context of those very special, even though they don't look it from the road and we're just humans, we're not living in there, but the vernal pools and the wetlands. And finally, I would say, because Emily and I can attest to, and probably everybody in this room, we're all living with invasives galore. And so I love your plantings, but I'm thinking to myself, how do you maintain that? Is there a plan? And some way to assure that those shrubs that are gonna have berries and the nice things that you're doing aren't overtaken by a lot of the invasives that are already along Route 5 and invading the wetlands around both sides of Route 5. To enhance those wetlands would be so fabulous. So I just leave you that. I like your plan and I like what's going on and I fully support it, but I think it's a chance to do more than just with ag specifically, like you need more on your plate. Oh, well.
I don't think we disagree. I think that's part of what makes this podland actually kind of exciting. Initially, it was a little daunting with the amount of wetlands, but I think it will end up being kind of hopefully a further teaching example.
And because of your client, because of the people you're working with, I think the people in ag are the forward thinkers in our culture right
Yeah,
now.
very much.
They're out there on the edge dealing with this, and they may have some really good ideas about those things.
Kind of formulate that into a question if I can. So there is a lot of wetlands that are class 2 wetlands, so we have to address that. And I know people outside of us are going to maybe address that with more strict eyes than even we would from the state. So what should we be paying attention to when it comes to wetland here, or what should we not bother paying attention to because the state is gonna have to review it?
The state, we have to get a permit from the state. They've already been out there. We had a wetland scientist out there. We had a state wetland biologist go out there and sort of oversee and critique her work. They came to a final agreement. That's what this plan represents. The only real impact in a wetland is across.
So this is after consultation with the state.
Yeah, you'll see a wetlands and then a 50-foot setback from it.
Yeah, the only impact is gonna be where the road is going. The rest of it, is gonna remain untouched.
And is this like a? It's not a pencil sketch, it's really awesome, but like the culvert aspect about it. It seems to be a wide,
That's the impact. Is right there, where it crosses what they call.
and is that, right, and it seems, that the culvert. Not being an expert, it seems like it's one culvert for a wide wetland area. Are you all confident that culvert diameter and quantity is going to
Yes,
pass the test from the state?
well, I don't know if the state has a different criteria, but they're gonna tell us what that is. In terms of the sizing of the culvert, there's a very, in springtime, you'll get some runoff. But it's not really a saturated wetland. 4 or 5 months a year anyway, so.
Okay, but it being class 2, I guess, again, we have to look at it. Now, are there any interested parties from the town that have anything to say about?
If they do require a state wetlands permit to do that crossing, it's required that they get that crossing, to get that permitted prior to, conditionally, prior to the approval or conditionally upon this approval if you guys grant it. So if they need it, they have to get it. If they fail to get it, then.
And should we be considering it now? With any,
Only to the extent, no, I mean,
Okay.
the wetland jurisdiction is at the state. They've had a qualified engineer review that wetland from the state and a wetland engineer. I think the work's done.
so people more specialized than us looked at it and
Yes.
said it's okay.
Yes.
Right. I have a kind of parallel question on stormwater, because when I read through this material, it said that you are asking for a waiver of a full-blown stormwater management plan. at this stage, and I know you'll have to get it, and so just, okay, maybe Stephen, you're the one to explain, like, so how does that work? Like, is that unusual for us not, at this stage, to not be seeing a stormwater management plan? Or is that something that's like, oh, it often happens that will, like,
I mean, I think that the DRB needs to review stormwater issues. I think because of the, you know, the scale of the disturbance and, impervious surfaces, sorry. You know, that the stormwater management plan will need to be reviewed at the state level and permitted at the state level.
right? And why, so
And
what-
it's sort of the same story with the wetlands. If
and
they
so
were-
is it a big enough deal that you wanted to wait to see whether you got approval at this level before spending money and?
We could, again, with the same, you know, in the same way,
Question.
make our approval conditional upon
Right.
the receipt of a state wetland permit
Right.
and the
Right.
stormwater management permit. I mean, generally, there's two. But you know, they're gonna be required at the Act
some
250
point,
level
yeah.
to, you know, to answer those questions.
Oh, okay, so
We
you,
are subject to Act 250.
yeah, so it's, and you didn't want to embark on Act 250 till you pass this,
Correct.
this appro, okay, fine.
Exactly.
All right, got it.
It seems like that the standard is get the local approval first,
Yeah.
then take
Right.
it to Act 250.
Okay.
The other thing is, in your regulations, I believe it says, you can ask for a waiver on the stormwater, and the reason is if, and then the if is, you're going to the state to get it.
And they're
approved.
getting-
So
okay.
that's the reason why we asked for that waiver.
Okay, thank you
So we can make the use conditioned on
on those.
approving on getting that approval, the Act 250.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
the stormwater aspect of it.
Are there any questions from, I know there's other people here from members of the public or online? I just want to make sure everyone has a chance to ask a question or provide a comment, please.
Yeah, I'm Fred Lane, 782 Tiger Town. I'm also on the Conservation Commission in town, but not representing them currently.
Nice.
Know a bit about wetlands and about this area specifically. Kudos to the applicants and the consultants you had for great wetlands report and marked it out really well. And they even alluded to that swale, when it is high water, does get quite a bit of flow in it. Doesn't normally have it in it. But I would just be prepared that the wetlands biologist may say that there's quite a bit of water coming through this wetland in high waters. And I'm curious, and anybody, if they know, does the Act 250 process stormwater include something like drainage down a wetland into a culvert, or is it just permeable surfaces in our buildings? And
I think they look at both.
they look at both, that's good. Yeah, because for the integrity of the wetland, the integrity of your road, the integrity of stormwater management, that's gonna be a spot. And I'm sure the engineers all know that already. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind hearing, I'm sorry, no, did you have something that connects to that?
Folks that wanted to speak.
Please.
Do you want us to go now?
Yeah, please, yes.
My name is Leslie O'Hara and I own Hogwash Farm, which is on 708 Goodrich Corners. Hogwash has been a Norwich business for around 20 years. I've only owned it since 2017. I'm also the current president of the Norwich Farmers Market. And just, I wanted to say that, you know, farming is difficult and like, I love it, but my favorite part of farming has become this market. And Saturdays are usually a 14 to 16 hour workday for me, but I love them. I don't hire people in to do the market for me. I love going. And I find this project, it's like, I can have the worst work week in the world, and then I go to the market and everybody's there. Our entire community, the people that make it worth it, that make it worth working that hard, and like the weather events and the drought and all of it. And then we show up on Saturday and everybody's there rocking and rolling to support us. And it's amazing. And the vendors as well. Everybody, the people I work with are amazing and the community members are amazing. And I find that this project is super exciting to just allow us to be better, be better, be a better home for both the the farmers, the artisans, and the community that wants to spend more time, with us in a more organized way. Yeah, I think it's super exciting. That's my 2 cents.
Very well. I'm Valerie Woodhouse. I'm with Honeyfield Farm here in Norwich. We're just wrapping up our 6th season growing in Norwich and our 5th year at the Norwich Farmers Market. So we joined right away and we were very excited to have that opportunity. And the market has been really pivotal in our business growing and making connections in the community. At this point, it's become a pretty significant part of our business, especially on a difficult year like this, where some of our larger, wholesale accounts might be more impacted by the drought. We're still able to like pull things together and have people show up at the market every week. But for the last 3 years, we've started to find our ceiling at the market, and as the market gets busier, we hear, as a business with a farm stand, also here in Norwich, we hear more and more that our CSA members and some of our farm stand customers aren't wanting to make the trek to the market, primarily because of parking, the thing we're talking about, and also accessibility. So I would say for us, like looking ahead, parking is something we've been thinking about in all of our conversations. I'm also on the board of the market, to be transparent as the secretary. The current summer market location has definitely shown its vulnerabilities over the years on the wet years. The vendors that are along Route 5, like I've been pushing trucks out of the mud. You know, I was organizing volunteers to come this year to help all of the inner vendors carry our stuff in because we couldn't drive into the center. And we definitely saw, you know, even with doing additional markets this year myself, we're still over 10% down from last year because of the impacts of that rainy spring. Like you can't make up the money from a bad market, because no one wanted to come and park in the rain and the mud. And then looking into the winter, I'm definitely excited about the idea of a more permanent winter market home. The winter is for many of us, it's our slower season as farmers, and the idea of having a regular space that we could go to even weekly, or have people know, hey, I know, you know, we love and appreciate having Tracy Hall, but the parking around here is limited too. It's not great. People who have accessibility issues and don't know if they're gonna be able to park right here, like they're not coming on our Saturdays. And that those few markets we have twice a month are really critical for those of us who have this as our livelihood. So I feel like this opportunity would really open up doors for Norwich and Upper Valley growers and businesses, young entrepreneurs who want to invest in this community and want to like look for a future ahead. You know, right now we're 5 years in and we're at our limit of what we think we can make at the market. Thinking of what this could open up for our future really, you know, encourages me to make this selling to our community, keeping the dollars local a priority for our business. And I think the other pieces is really important for everyone to be able to have access to fresh food and bread. This project helps me envision a long-term future for the market that's actually workable for families with young children, seniors, people with disabilities or mobility challenges. We want all of them coming to the market and able to enjoy it. So it's very exciting, I think, for many of us.
Thank you.
Thank you, that was really very, very valuable to hear. I appreciate both. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
I only have one other thing. It's just, there's a well that looks like it's in, the driveway and well of the Kumon Center, I'll call it. Seems like it's within the boundary of farmer's market. Am I reading the map correctly? So who owns that well and who owns the water to it and would be affected by the wellhead protection area?
We believe it's Kumon, that facility.
And is anyone here representing Kumon no? Okay. All right. That's my question.
Did you
Well,
get an
and
answer?
But would any of the experts know whether any of the activities would it affect that well?
Are you saying,
It's-
sorry, I missed it. Is it right
it's-
smack in the middle of the
It's
vendor area?
there. No, it's at the edge of,
Limon Well is right here. The well
okay.
protection
Here.
area is this,
here, it's that thing, right?
and this is the protection area.
Hmm.
The wetland
That's-
protection
oh,
area,
But they're not asking.
I see.
the wetland protection area has to do with wastewater. And I think that that's why that, you see that circle, is just because there can't be any wastewater.
And it,
there.
And so they're
They
really
won't have any
connecting, they won't.
is stuff dripping from cars or salt? That's the definition.
Yeah.
Only wastewater, nothing that is happening in this development within the protection area is considered wastewater.
I've seen wells in parking lots.
Okay.
And you'll have a, septic, like, where's your waste go?
Hartford.
Oh, you get the out with the end.
Yeah. It's water and sewer.
Did I see a proposed
It's
leaching
not-
field in one of these drawings?
I have a question. Jan, are you still on?
I think he is.
It's you.
But he's muted.
Yes, I am.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on this proposal and how you feel that it's in spirit with the changes that the planning commission has made in the last year. And what you've heard tonight. I to be transparent, I'm a little concerned about the breadth of what I naturally understand, and it sounds wonderful, but I think a couple of quotes I heard were highest and best use of the building. If we were to do a farm to table dinner, I personally would just feel a lot better if this were zoned like in a appropriate fashion in my mind, but so I want to understand from you as part of the planning commission, because as a DRB chair, I don't want to be accused of making policy, and that's so this is, as much as I love this plan, I just want to hear your thoughts.
Sure, I definitely can speak to that and the conversations we had at the Planning Commission. This was rolled into a whole set of zoning changes. We referred to it together as kind of modernizing our zoning bylaws. We made a batch of changes relating to ag issues and housing issues and some wording in the bylaws. And so a lot of those had to do with getting our regs current with state regs, because it had been so long since we updated them. So there were a number of definitions like on-farm business, agricultural on-farm business and things like that, accessory on-farm business, I think it was, and a couple others that were required by the state. We were having conversations with the farmers market group during that zoning update. We chose to be very explicit with the definition of an open air market. And as Stephen read it, you can tell it sounds like the perfect definition of the farmer's market. And that's because we wanted to be very clear that use was an allowed use. We were not in a position to rezone. We certainly wouldn't have rezoned a single parcel for a project. That would be, a spot zoning sort of thing. And to review all of our zoning districts and decide moving things around boundaries, that's not going to happen until 2028 when we redo the plan and then roll things out from there. So the the conversation was really, we're gonna modernize and the regs, we have to update agricultural-based definitions based on state law. We made sure to have open air market in there, to be very well defined. There was completely positive response in our public hearing and the select board's public hearing relative to this project, but that 90% of the comments around those zoning reg changes were positive comments about this project at both the planning commission and the select board level. So I understand that kind of to be cleaner or long-term, you would say, okay, would this be something you would zone in a different area, not in rural residential? But all things considered, it's perfect, and it really got lots of positive support.
Thank you.
And if I could just expand a bit on the accessory on-farm business topic that Jan referred to. So that was a piece of legislation that sort of expanded agricultural use. It sort of recognizing the changing nature of agriculture in the state of Vermont. So it has quite expansive use. So if you're a designated farm and you would like to hold events, if you'd like to have farm to table dinners, if you'd like to have all of the sort of things that the market envisions, it's now, it's permissible by the state in terms of agricultural use.
So is agritourism within that?
It's a very expansive view of, sort of agricultural businesses.
Okay.
However, we have a lot of uses, similar uses that aren't on designated farms. So recognizing this use exists within the town, both on designated farms and, in other areas, we have, Crossroads Farm Stall on Route 5. So, in the context of this sort of new permissibility for farms, how do we expand that use? So that's where, the sort of discussion around, open air markets came about. Recognizing that we had existing uses that sort of fall into that category, and also recognizing that those are uses we want to promote.
Great.
Again, and not asking for, if this is not a legal opinion or anything like that, but Jan, I'm curious if I personally feel that the net benefits would, like, for just the greater economy would vastly outweigh it, but I'm just curious if if the 501c status would result in a net less tax revenues to the town, simply by allowing this conditional use.
I'm not sure of the legality. I just know that every once in a while we will vote on something like the tax exemption to the Norwich Child Care Center or something. So it seems to be something that the town has to vote on to give an exemption to property taxes. You don't just get one automatically by being a 501c3, but I'm not certain of that.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. Any other questions? Well, thank you. This was a wonderful presentation.
It was.
I think if we get a motion to, no other last comments, anyone? No? Okay, I think we have to close this public hearing, right?
A motion to close the hearing.
Thank you, Don.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Very good presentation.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Peggy, I'm Amanda's neighbor. Yeah, so I've heard you mention the fund. Well, not about this, just nice to meet you, man.
Hey, Matt. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been working on this a long time.
Yeah, the game was really nice.
These are nice. Great machine. I mean, these people are so concerned.
I bet you could get grant money. You have a way with. Well, this is interesting because I think that our business is agricultural in nature. But we don't get treated like agriculture or get grant funding opportunities and like this seems to be almost like a pioneer vision of expanding.
I think we should, let's see what we think.
It's just. We're gonna deliberate now, and you wanna.
Oh, let's do the minutes.
And they can't, and there are no pollinators or.
You would give a suggestion?
I would suggest, I know it wants to participate
Oh,
in the
yeah.
deliberation. And I would suggest that we could schedule a special hearing,
I like that.
do the minutes then,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Let's sleep on, yeah, I'm here, I wanna run the good noise, ask question around, just for my own.
absolutely.
I've been nice to put that out.
Bob would be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely.
If
That's
the
the
answer
challenge.
is that, if the answer is that, what's going to be, I can't understand. That's like you can't, okay, right, I mean.
Okay, I think it's like a conflict. I know, I just don't, I don't deal on that side of the question.
Oh, okay, gotcha, but I could ask the,
Yeah. The assessors.
if that answer is, if it's like something that someone has to go and ask to someone else.
Land look really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
So, I mean, I think we could, why don't we do that?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's great, I could,
okay.
yeah, it's getting late. Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Which one?
Hey, guys, folks, we're thinking about maybe, calling it for tonight and scheduling another meeting just to do a deliberation, like, on the heels. When we're fresh.
When we're fresh.
Then,
I would suggest, in a week's time.
yeah,
So let me poll everybody.
oh, we're still on the.
Yeah.
public meeting. We're
We
still
haven't
being-
heard the meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Should we accept the minutes though, just quickly, or?
there's,
There's edits.
yeah, there's some edits
Okay.
that I
Understood.
want.
No, I'm not trying to go there. I forgot you said that. Yeah, cool. Okay, so should we get a motion to, what is the right word? Oh, I'm missing my Linda. What's the,
To continue.
to pause, right? We're not ending.
You close.
Oh, we closed the public hearing, so we can adjourn.
Right, we close the hearing, we have 45 days to decide,
Got it.
on both matters.
Yeah.
And we can deliberate in a deliberative session as we see fit. So,
I would kill that owl.
Yeah, please.
well, I mean, we're still.
I mean, no, not literally.
No, we're still not, honey, we're still in open meeting. So,
Let's close the meeting.
Good.
I think the sort of consensus is we're gonna adjourn for tonight
Oh, okay, fine.
and we'll deliberate, at a special session, where we'll open the
That
meeting
meeting, or
by
should we host?
accepting the,
Yeah,
I just sort of.
Yes.
okay, so not keep going tonight except to do minutes and.
No, because I have some edits for the minutes.
Oh.
We'll do those.
Would you like to entertain a motion to close this meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Or close the hearing.
Don,
The hearing,
no, the hearing's been closed.
the hearing's closed, but
We're gonna close the meeting.
Alright, I second that.
Adjourn the meeting, see? Thank you.
Adjourn.
What?
You second, all those in favor? Yes.
Okay,
That's it?
Linda Gray, thank you very much.
We need Linda.
I know, you are like ready to go. Yeah. All in.
Solar almost all facing you.
Did you?
Oh, money.